All right, let's take a trip. Imagine you're heading out for a night of entertainment. But forget the movie theater. We're talking about stepping right into the middle of bustling, noisy 16th century London. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you what it was really like to see a play 400 years ago, right in the heart of Shakespeare's world. So, have you ever actually wondered what that was like? I mean, really pictured it? Forget comfy seats and ordering tickets on your phone. We're talking about a time when theater was a totally new, completely revolutionary form of entertainment for everyone. And to really get just how big of a deal this was, we first have to understand the world that it exploded into. So let's set the scene. Our journey starts in 16th century England. Now, this was a world that was literally shaking off the dust of the past and just bursting with this incredible new energy. You know, to really appreciate this creative explosion, you've got to understand what came right before it. Europe was just crawling out of what we call the Dark Ages. And yeah, it was pretty dark. We're talking plagues, constant war, not a great time. So the Renaissance was exactly what it sounds like, a rebirth. It was this incredible flowering of art and science and culture that honestly changed everything. And right there in England, this whole cultural boom got tied to one person, the monarch, Queen Elizabeth I. Her reign was super long and pretty stable, which created the perfect environment for the arts, and especially theater, to just take off. It's no wonder we call it the Elizabethan Age. Okay, so the scene is set, right? You've got a whole country just buzzing with new ideas and this artistic energy, and out of all that energy, something completely revolutionary was born, England's very first permanent theaters. See, before this, actors, or players as they called them, were basically just wandering performers going from town to town. But now, for the very first time, they were building actual, permanent public theaters called playhouses. And this one change, well, it was a game changer. It took acting from this kind of traveling gig and turned it into a massive mainstream form of entertainment in the city. So, here we are. We've made it to the playhouse. The big question is, what are we actually about to see? What kinds of stories had these Elizabethan audiences completely hooked? Well, think about it like this. Just like we have celebrity movie directors or writers today, they had celebrity playwrights, and these guys were the absolute rock stars of their time. We're talking about William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and Ben Jonson. Just seeing their name on the bill was enough to pull in a huge crowd. And what was so cool is that these writers were breaking the mold. They were moving way beyond the purely religious stories you'd get in the medieval period. Now, audiences could watch these super gripping histories about real kings like Henry V. Or they could experience these gut-wrenching tragedies about a hero's downfall, like Romeo and Juliet. And then you had laugh-out-loud comedies like A Midsummer Night's Dream, where you get to see clever heroes win the day. A little something for everyone, really. Okay, so you've got the amazing stories, you've got the star writers, but the actual experience of watching the play, well, that's where things get really different from what we're used to. It was, in a lot of ways, a totally alien experience, and it all starts with the stage itself.
Yeah, forget about massive moving sets. The Elizabethan stage was, well, it was pretty much bare. I mean, no curtains to hide scene changes, almost no scenery at all. So if the scene was a forest, or a castle, or a giant battlefield, all of that had to be created not with props and paint, but with the power of the words and, crucially, with the audience's own imagination.
So, with a stage that's so empty, where does the wow factor come from? Well, the entire visual spectacle really came down to one thing, the costumes. And these weren't just any old clothes. They were often incredibly lavish, super expensive, and they were a shortcut for the audience. You could instantly tell a character's social status, how much money they had, and even a bit about their personality just by looking at what they were wearing. But here's probably the biggest shock for us, looking back from today. It's the cast. See, professional acting was considered, well, not a proper job for women. So they were flat out banned from the stage. So you're probably asking, wait, who played all the great female roles? Who was Juliet or Lady Macbeth? The answer might surprise you. It was highly trained young boys whose voices hadn't changed yet. Can you even imagine? Now, this new art form wasn't just about entertainment. It had a huge effect on society. It was powerful. It actually brought people together, right before it helped tear them apart. And for a while, the playhouse was this amazing unifier. Think about it. In a society with super rigid social classes, this was one of the only places where the rich and the poor could actually hang out together.
I mean, you'd have a nobleman sitting up in a fancy gallery seat, and right below him, a commoner standing in the yard, and both of them would be completely captivated by the exact same story. That was a really big deal. But, as you can probably guess, not everyone was a fan of this. There were religious groups, especially the Puritans, who looked at these playhouses and saw, well, basically dens of sin. They thought all this theater stuff was totally immoral and was corrupting the good, decent people of England. And look, this wasn't just some minor disagreement or a few angry letters. No, when the Puritans finally gained real political power in England, they did something that seems unthinkable to us. They banned all public theater. Just like that, the playhouses went dark, and that whole golden age of English drama, it came to a sudden, dramatic stop. Which kind of leaves us with a really fascinating question, doesn't it? On one hand, you had the Puritans, who saw theater as a genuine threat. And on the other, you had the Elizabethans, who saw it as this incredible, unifying joy. So it makes you think, if all of our own stages and all of our screens suddenly went dark today, what essential part of our culture would we actually lose?